The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Ain't that the truth? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast.
Again.
Joining me today is a man who's looking a little purple. Welcome, Jacob.
Now, what the heck? It's like, why am I purple again? Daylight, what did you do this time?
What's with the maniacal laughter, Deela? Oh, you don't know, do you?
Really?
You swear you've done nothing.
Right. Why did they torture thee?
Sure thing, Deela. You did absolutely nothing.
Sure.
Well, I half expected something like this to happen.
Oh, what is he gonna do now? No. Daylight, someday me and you are gonna have a really good talk.
What do you mean I'm a spoil sport? He did nothing to you. Yeah, let's just move on, shall we?
Exactly. Why, thank you. Thankfully, I'm not purple now. And let me introduce our co-host, a man who had to go use that flying magnet machine in the backyard, didn't he? Welcome, Drew.
I wish I had that. Actually, it'd make things a lot easier.
Yeah, in some cases, yeah.
Depending on how strong it is, you might be able to pick up some stuff to go sell down at the scrapyard. The recycle bin, whatever you call that.
Exactly.
Anyway, tonight we are reviewing a movie about the owner of a bunch of little corn pops.
Banana.
Despicable Me 2. An okay film.
Yeah, okay.
We'll get more into that in a second.
Exactly.
In fact, you want to just go ahead and jump into our spoiler-free thoughts right quick?
Exactly.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
I don't know how many times I actually watched this film, not because I just super enjoyed it, but because it played endlessly in the display TVs at Walmart back when I worked there.
Fair.
Around the time this movie came out on home video.
Mm-hmm.
So probably all the way through, this would be my second viewing.
Yeah.
But some of these jokes I remember seeing a bunch of times. I remember thinking that this film was better than the first one, but for the most part, it is still a safe Illumination film. It's not pushing boundaries in terms of writing or story.
Right.
It might be pushing Illumination's tech when it comes to particle effects,
Right.
because there's a lot of particle effects in this one.
Agreed.
Many of them brown. So, I mean, there is that,
Mm-hmm.
but all in all, it's still a safe Illumination film.
Very true.
What are your thoughts?
So this is the first time watching this film. I bought the film years ago at a Black Friday sale. There again, I wasn't one of these knuckleheads who went in there at midnight, had to go buy what I know they've changed things now, but still midnight just sounds like the thing to say. But went after work, went and bought some Blu-rays like I normally do, and it's like, oh, it's Despicable Me too. I was like, oh, that sounds great. But so watching this film, be like, it is a very paint by numbers kind of story. It's be like you see everything coming from a mile away, or at least 5 miles. So it's a very predictable story. There's no like, oh my gosh, great reveal, or this, I didn't see this coming kind of moment. You see everything. Be like, I think I'm more a little cynical now. Be like, ever since I've been reviewing films for like the past 5 years here on the podcast.
Right. And a lot of these plots are overused.
Yes, they are.
But now you know how I feel in most movies.
Yes. Thank you.
Because granted, I'm usually about 5. I'm not bragging here.
No.
Believe me, I'm not bragging. I wish I was not like this sometimes. But I am usually about 5 steps ahead of movies.
Mm.
So generally I'm back here going, okay, here comes the good stuff. And Jacob can attest.
Mm-hmm.
I am the guy who's snickering 2 minutes before the cool thing happens.
Yes, agreed.
So I'm usually a little quicker on the draw. This movie, I'm on par with everybody else because everybody sees what's coming.
Yeah. You know,
if you saw the trailer, you know what's coming.
You know what's coming.
So yeah, you want to eat anything else?
Yeah. Again, the plot is just very generic. It's got some good character developments, even though our main character doesn't really grow as a character.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some good points, and again, Illumination being Illumination, they know how to do safe movies. They know how to make money with their product, and they have a sound, tested, and proven method of making films.
Formula.
Thank you. Formula. That's the word I'm looking for. If it doesn't turn me into another purple monster again, it'd be great. But
she said, "Don't test her."
All right, fine. I won't test her again. Maybe.
Oh, now you're just going to grumble because we're just taking away your fun. Why are you here out of curiosity? Fine, we'll talk about it later.
Oh, bother. Either or. Like,
yeah, we still don't know where Dee came from or why she stopped here.
Yeah, still working on it.
I mean, we know how. I mean, it was a package, but
yeah, exactly.
Still don't know why.
Yeah. Secrets to be revealed later. At some point. Either or.
Right. If we really want to know that, we'll find out when we get there.
So yeah, it is a very serviceable film. It's a fun film. The kids are gonna love it. Adults be like who are zeroing in films are gonna be like, yeah, this is a cookie cutter film, but it's fun. It's a fun film. Yeah, that's my spoiler free thoughts.
Well, then why don't we go ahead and jump into the spoilers and let's actually start talking about this thing.
Yeah.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Despicable Me 2.
Banana!
Listener discretion is advised. Not that you won't see half this film coming a mile away. Despicable Me 2 was directed by Pierre Coffin, who directed all the other Despicable Me films, and Chris Renaud, who also directed The Secret Life of Pets. It was written by Cinco Paul and Ken Dario. Getting into the cast, we've got Steve Carell as Gru. He also played Michael Scott on The Office.
No! Please, Lord, no! I know the memes. I've never watched the show.
Oh, I figured out what you were quoting.
Yeah.
I was expecting you to say that's what she said, but we'll move on.
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig was the voice of Lucy. And would you know what I meant by the Looney Tunes show?
Yes, I've heard of it. Yes.
This was the sitcom Looney Tunes show that was on Cartoon Network back in the early 2010s, I believe.
Something like that.
It was more sitcom-y than your standard, slapstick that Looney Tunes is more known for. And in that movie, that TV show, she played Lola Bunny, and then reprised that role for Space Jam: A New Legacy. She was a little young for the original Space Jam. So, yeah.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig. Where does that name also sound? Sounds really familiar.
She was in something else, major, and I can't place it.
What movie was that?
Ghostbusters.
Maybe.
Answer the Call.
Maybe.
She was one of the actresses in that.
Oh, right. The movie people don't talk about.
Anyway, Benjamin Bratt.
Yes.
Wait, Artsy
Dun, dun.
Steph, you might actually be right. That may have been Zendaya as Lola in the new Space Jam. I could be wrong there.
Zendaya. That's right. It was Zendaya.
My apologies. Thank you, Artsy Steph, for correcting me. I will leave this in. Benjamin Bratt was the voice of another. Well, he was the voice of Eduardo Perez, or El Macho, as he is revealed as.
Yeah.
And he has voiced another villain in a movie that we watched
Yeah.
who was Hispanic in origin and name started with an E.
I'm gonna play like I can't remember this movie. Like we didn't do this like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, just break the illusion here.
Yeah, break the illusion. Yes, break the illusion completely. Coco?
Yeah, it was Coco. Can you tell me the guy's name?
No.
You were not listening that closely earlier.
No, I wasn't.
Ernesto de la Cruz.
De la Cruz. That's right. That's right. Well, the thing I hear this actor's name, all I hear is a dun dun from Law and Order, because he was on Law and Order for a while.
I know that. It was Law and Order. Trust me.
Yeah.
It wasn't L.A. Law. He might have been on L.A. Law, but the one I know is Law and Order.
Yeah.
Anyway, Miranda Cosgrove was the voice of Margot, and she's probably most well known for playing Carly Shay on the TV show iCarly on Nickelodeon and now Paramount Plus. Dana Geyer played Edith, and unfortunately, mostly she's only played Edith. She had a couple other small pieces, like bit pieces, but nothing that really jumped out or worth mentioning that much. Yeah. Elsie Fisher was the voice of Agnes, and she played Parker in The Addams Family, the 2019 animated one.
That's right.
She was the hyperactive or the brighter friend of Wednesday.
That's right.
The daughter of obviously knockoff Martha Stewart.
Yes. And we all know that Agnes was Agnes all along, right?
It was Agnes all along. Anyway, Russell Brand was the voice of Dr. Nefario, and in Death on the Nile, he played Windlesham.
Yeah.
One of the possible who done it in that film.
Who's?
You know what I mean? The suspects.
Yes, I know. I'm playing along.
Ken Jeong was the voice of Floyd Eagleson. And in the television show Community, he played Senior Chang. That is the character's name.
Okay.
Anyway, I've seen very little of Community. I just know he was the main teacher on there after what's his name got kicked out, the British dude who was on he's got one of those comedic TV show news shows on now, like I don't know what channel it's on, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Steve Coogan was the voice of Silas Ramsbottom, and in the Percy Jackson films he played Hades.
Oh, that's right. The book that kind of the
movies that did not represent the books very well according to people. I didn't watch the movie, so I have no way of knowing.
I watched them. They're not that good.
Kingdom Hearts connections.
And they're making a series now, apparently.
How many Kingdom Hearts connections do we have?
I'm going to make my guess like I did before. 4.
You're close. It was 3.
Darn, like I didn't hear that an hour ago.
Anyway, first one, we got Jess Harnell as Wacko. Well, he wasn't Wacko in this, but he's most well known for playing Wacko.
Wacko showed up in this movie. Oh my god!
Yeah, you didn't know that.
Oh my god!
He escaped Warner Brothers and went to Universal.
That would have made the movie even funnier.
No, he was additional voices in this film.
Yeah.
And in Kingdom Hearts, he played Locke, Dr. Finkelstein, and more additional voices. Eva Bella was additional voices in this, and she's the voice of young Elsa in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh. And
Andre Robinson was additional voices in both. What do we have in info and stuff?
Info and stuff. IMDb has a 7.3 out of 10 available to watch on Amazon Video for $3.79. Now, I did I watched it on Blu-ray, and then I gave it to my friend over here who started to watch it.
I got halfway through it, and it started glitching really bad, and so I had to go ahead and rent it. So, yeah.
Just curious, which system did you play it on?
The Xbox. It's the only thing I've got that's plays Blu-rays now.
Okay. All right. So, distribution or production was Illumination Entertainment. Distribution was Universal Pictures. Release date was June 3rd of 2013, which is weird because then it was either or. That was the information I was led to. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. Because you know me, be like, I will say something wrong probably half the time, but either way. Box office had a budget of $76 million estimated budget. Its opening weekend was for the weekends in the United States and Canada. $83.5 million on July 7th. Now, nowadays, this would probably not be a very good starter, but we've had films that had started lower and then, just blew out everybody else in the box office. We're talking about you, Mario Bros.
Well, I mean, it's over 1 billion globally, so
that is true.
Only film to do so far this year.
We're halfway through the film, or halfway through the film season, or the year actually.
Yeah.
So its U.S. and Canada gross was $368 million, and its international gross was $970.7 million. So yeah, this movie made its money, or in this case, made all of its bananas back. Home release. Universal Pictures Home Entertainment released Despicable Me 2 on digital download on November 26th and on Blu-ray and DVD on December 10th.
Sorry. Facebook is fun. Sorry.
Yes. Physical copies contain 3 shorts: Puppy, Panic in the Mail Room, and Training Wheels. Sequels. The first of the prequels, Minions, was released in 2015. Let's see. That was released in 2015. The Despicable Me 2 sequel, direct sequel, Despicable Me 3, was released in 2017. The Minions sequel, Minions: The Rise of Gru, released in 2023, suffered 2 delays from its original 2020 date release due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thanks, COVID.
Despicable Me 4 is scheduled to release in 2024. So that's all I have for info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. A mysterious aircraft steals a highly potent mutagen known as PX-41 from a secret laboratory in the Arctic Circle. Silas Ramsbottom, director of the Anti-Villain League, sends agent Lucy Wilde to recruit former supervillain Gru. Gru is forcibly brought to the AVL headquarters and asked by Ramsbottom to help him track down the culprit and recover the mutagen. However, Gru refuses, claiming that he is now a legitimate father and owner of a jelly-producing business. Longing to resume his criminal life, Dr. Nefario, Gru's friend and assistant, leave him for new employment. This causes a reluctant Gru to investigate the theft and work with Lucy. The pair are stationed at the Paradise Shopping Mall with a cupcake store at their front. Gru immediately suspects Mexican restaurant owner Eduardo Perez might be El Macho, a supervillain who supposedly died by riding a shark into an active volcano with 250 pounds of TNT strapped to his chest.
Poor shark.
Gru and Lucy break into Eduardo's restaurant at night, but find no evidence. Meanwhile, Gru's 3 adopted daughters, Margot, Edith, and Agnes, who dream of having a mother one day, believe that Gru will fall in love with Lucy. Gru denies it, saying his relationship with Lucy is only professional. Despite holding Eduardo as his prime suspect, Gru agrees to pursue other leads, including the shop of wig merchant Floyd Eagleson, where Lucy discovers traces of PX-41. After witnessing Eduardo's son Antonio woo Margot and invite everyone to the Cinco de Mayo party, Gru renews his focus on Eduardo. Following a bad blind date in which Lucy helps Gru to escape, the two begin to bond. The next day, the AVL arrests Floyd after finding an almost empty jar of the mutagen in his shop. Silas closes the investigation and reassigns Lucy to Australia, leaving Gru heartbroken. At the Cinco de Mayo party, Gru follows Eduardo and discovers that he is indeed El Macho. Having faked his death, El Macho had hired Dr. Nefario and had abducted most of Gru's minions, using the stolen PX-41 mutagen to transform them into an army of indestructible and savage purple beasts. El Macho plans to launch rockets full of the evil minions into major cities to dominate the world. He offers Gru the chance to team up with him, but Gru walks away with the girls. Suspicious, El Macho sends an evil minion, Kevin, after them. Lucy, having decided to disobey orders and return home to Gru, arrives at the party right after Gru leaves. Realizing that Lucy and Gru are working for the AVL, El Macho kidnaps her. Dr. Nefario witnesses this and informs Gru of the situation. Gru infiltrates El Macho's fortress with 2 of his own disguised minions, but the evil minions see through the disguise and attack them. Meanwhile, Kevin breaks into Gru's house and attacks Margot and Agnes. They lure him to Gru's lab where Dr. Nefario arrives with an antidote and turns Kevin normal again. Dr. Nefario puts the antidote in Gru's jelly reserves, and he and the girls hurry to Gru's aid. Gru, Dr. Nefario, the girls, and the surviving minions use jelly guns to restore all the evil minions to their normal state. El Macho threatens to kill Lucy and uses the PX-41 to become a monster himself, but is defeated by Gru and Dr. Nefario. Gru starts to rescue Lucy from El Macho's TNT-loaded shark rocket, but El Macho's pet chicken, Polito, launches it, sending them towards a volcano. Lucy accepts Gru's invitation for a date and then jump into the ocean before the rocket explodes in the volcano. 147 dates later, Gru and Lucy get married, giving Margot, Edith, and Agnes a mother. As everyone prepares to take a picture together, an evil minion appears. Getting into the trivia for this one. When Lucy and Gru are reviewing Paradise Mall shop owners as suspects, the owner of Stuff-A-Bear, a satire of Build-A-Bear, overstuffs a bear and it explodes, making an expectant little boy cry. The boy is the same one that Gru made cry with a popping balloon in the beginning of the first Despicable Me. When Lucy Wilde gives Gru a phone number to reach her, it is clearly visible as 626-584-5723. Calling that number reaches a recording of Kristen Wiig in character with her outgoing voicemail message. However, the voicemail box is full and you cannot leave a recording. One of the minions calls the 21 fart gun salute for Dr. Nefario by saying Pado, which is the Hindi word for fart.
Surprise, surprise to nobody.
El Macho drinks a liquor bottle during a flashback scene. The label says La Venganza del El Scorpion, which is Spanish for the Revenge of the Scorpion. Behind it, there is a poster, also in Spanish, that reads, "If you are drinking to forget, pay first." When Gru and Lucy are in the salsa restaurant during the short fight with the chicken, there's an alien reference where the chicken bursts out of Gru's chest.
Love that scene.
Gru seems to be very wealthy, as indicated that he pays each of his minions wages, and there are over 10,000 minions. Although it is also indicated that despite much of his money coming from the bank in the first film, his source of income in Despicable Me 2 is still unknown.
And they still get paid more than Dobby the House Elf from Harry Potter.
True.
He actually does get paid. It's not much, but he gets paid. And apparently it's like once a week off every month. That's not a bad gig.
When the painted purple minion is exposed, the one who screams and points at him does the exact same pose as Donald Sutherland in Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978.
Oh,
I have not seen the film yet.
me either.
But it's on my list.
Yeah.
And that's all I got for the trivia. What's your first like for this film?
My first, oddly enough, the lighting in this movie. The lighting itself is pretty. I'd be like, it's good. I was very shocked by the lighting. I was like, wow, okay, like everything is nicely lit. Yeah, I like the lighting. Be like how it's not particle effects, but it's the lighting setup, shadow is all done very well in this movie. I enjoy that part of this film is the lighting. Quick and short. This is short.
Yeah, one of my first likes is the design of the minion rockets near the end, because they look just like gumball machines.
Yes.
And I love that they're gumball machines.
They are.
But I also like how they're all labeled to what city they're going to.
Yes.
Some of them make sense, like New York or Paris, things like that. One apparently is going to Hoboken, New Jersey.
Oh. Why?
I would assume New York would have took care of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's just because Hoboken is a funny word.
Yeah, agree. It is a
So we'll go with that.
very funny word.
But yeah, I enjoy the fact that the design for those rockets is very reminiscent of a certain robot who also looks like a gumball dispenser.
Which robot is this?
Hang on. In the not too distant. I jump ahead. Tom Servo. I had to stop and think of the
Tom
song.
Servo.
From Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Because I had to do in my mind robot, roll call, Cambot, Gypsy, Tom Servo, Crow.
Hey, at least you can remember things through a song. Be like, that's pretty cool.
It's in a song, so I ought to be able to remember it if I can remember the song.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
My second is, again, be like, if you watch the show for any time or listen to our show anytime along, be like, you probably heard me mention my love for Back to the Future. Nah, of course not. What? Stupid kid goes back in time and messes up time? Man, dude, that's a stupid movie. No, I absolutely love Back to the Future. So the scene where Lucy is on her way to Australia and realizes she wants to be with Gru, like, it is first shot almost to the point where I feel like a terrible Back to the Future fan. Doc's love interest in Back to the Future Part 3 realizes that she's on a train and she's leaving because she no longer wants to do with him, and she realizes she's in love with him and pulls the emergency brake to make the train stop, or in this case it's a plane. So when it dawned on me, this scene, I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. Oh, now, I love that.
It's been a hot minute.
Yes.
Since I've watched Back to the Future Part 3, and I think you can understand why it's not my favorite of the three.
Right.
But I have a stupid question.
Yes.
When she makes a decision to turn back, is it because everyone on the train to her looks like Doc Brown?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because if they did, that would be a dumb scene.
No.
Because it's a dumb scene here.
Yeah, it's a dumb scene here. Do not get me wrong, but the way they play it out, it'd be like it's not.
Don't get me wrong. The scene started out good. It just got dumber the longer it went.
I agree. It did go longer. It went stupider. But the whole homage to Back to the Future Part 3 was, I thought I enjoyed it. Now, granted, when she pulls the door open, which you can't do on a passenger plane,
it is physically impossible, even at that speed. It's not just that it's stupid.
Yeah,
you can't open that door. The air pressure on the inside of the cabin makes it where you can't do that.
And plus, if she did open it,
they'd all be dead.
They'd be all dead. But I'll get into dislikes later. But I found it where, well, the scene in particular, what I'm talking about is where anyways, be like the Doc Brown's love interest in Back to the Future Part 3, she's leaving, and the one of the salesmen is describing this guy that he was so heartbroken the whole bit, and she turns around, she describes who he was, is like, oh, him, and she pulls the emergency brake. Exact same thing, except in the 30,000 or 32,000 feet in the air, which I find stupid, but it's funny. My Back to the Future heart, stopped for a moment. I was like, oh my gosh, they homage Back to the Future. That's awesome. So yeah, that moment. Even though the rest of the scene is just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
What is your second like?
So as you can probably imagine, the Minions are not exactly my favorite type of character to be introduced in film in the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
However, we have the Minions.
Yes.
And there's a couple things we know about Minions in general.
Mm-hmm.
They are short. They are yellow. They are pretty much indestructible, and they're stupid, and yet intelligent in a strange way. But what I like here is that it was almost as if Illumination was self-aware. It's like, what is, if you were going to make an evil army out of anything that you turned quote unquote evil, what would be the scariest army you could make? Let's be honest. An army of evil minions is a pretty scary thing. It's agree. A great concept.
Yes,
for villains. And I think for the most part, the evil purple minions are done very well, very brilliantly. Other issues affect how they're used, but that's not the issue here.
True.
I'm mostly talking about how well they were used in this particular film. Plus, I love how the regular minions, after you paint them purple, were able to blend in.
Yes,
with the regular minions, and it's like, yeah, I can totally believe. Yeah, the mix of minions don't have hair, but I can totally believe these guys are the same species, even though others are crazy and evil and the others are not, because they are still acted by the same motivations. Just one is wilder and crazier and doesn't care if people like them afterwards.
True.
And so I appreciate that the evil minions are actually a pretty decent idea for a concept, and actually not counting our villain, how our villain uses them, are actually well acted and thought through on this. And I appreciate that, because honestly, you launch an army of those things on New York City, crap's gonna go down, and it would be scary as heck. That's a horror movie in the waiting.
It's true.
In fact, that scene when he shows that he's got an army of them above Gru, you're going, holy crap. That is death incarnate hanging above Gru right now.
It was clever.
Yeah, it was a very clever concept. We'll get to the problems with it later.
Agreed.
What's your third like?
So before I get into that, I want to get my Back to the Future cred back. It's Clara Clayton, or teacher Clara Clayton.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that, because I was like, oh my gosh, I can think of the actor's name, but why can't I think of the character's name? So frustrating. But my third like would be, I think I'm just gonna steal yours, because that was so good. It was like definitely the minions being transformed into their evil selves. I thought that was very clever. It was, I think for me, it was probably one of the smartest moves they did in this film. Is they turned the minions bad, or like ravenous monsters, and I thought it was the design of the characters I was really funny, because it morphed everything those little orange puffballs were into something that is actually kind of terrifying if you look at it, like you said. Release millions of those things on a densely populated area. That's gonna be an interesting day for anybody. But I thoroughly enjoyed the little, they turned the minions bad, they turned them into little ravenous purple monsters. That was kind of interesting. That was an interesting little twist, unlike the rest of the movie.
So my third like is the visual design of the film. A lot of the sets are very well designed. From of course, Gru's house is pretty much the same, though you'll note that there's a another chair in like his rhino one that opens the opening to the lair. There's another one in there for the girls.
That's right.
That's cuter. So I appreciate that. Little touches like that I like. But you get to things such as the mall with the different shops and everything, including the salsa restaurant. Very cleverly designed stuff. El Macho's house and lair, I appreciated, especially the La Cucaracha key to get into the elevator. which of course they play the old joke of, well, would you know if I meant by those endearing charms from Looney Tunes?
No.
Do you remember in Looney Tunes, they would, at one point, someone would have to play a piano for some reason, and there'd be dynamite hidden under one of the keys.
Yeah.
And they'd play, always go, do, 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 do. And of course, it doesn't set it off. And then finally, they'll get someone to play, the person who made the trap will get mad at them after they intentionally are playing the notes wrong, and will play it correctly, and then the bomb blows up.
Yeah.
This is a reversal of that, because he plays it right. I want to say Ernesto because I'm thinking of Coco, but El Macho plays it right, and of course he's able to go all the way through without stuff happening. But Gru, on the other hand,
that was actually hilarious. That was pretty good.
Messes up quite a number of times and nearly gets killed.
Yeah,
but the design of
Jones,
the design of that room, the design of the Aztec designs in the lair itself. Did you notice that the seat that evil minion Kevin is in, when he's let loose, the design on the chair, on the back of the chair, is a crazed minion.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't notice that.
I thought that was very clever. And then of course the party scene there at his house with the chips, with that guacamole sombrero.
Yeah, that was clever.
And I love how there is a physical difference between Gru's guacamole sombrero and Margot's.
Yeah,
because hers is smaller and looks like it's a kid's version.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
And apparently you give these out to people who have broken hearts, even when the people who broke their hearts are the people in the room. Margot, you deserve better than that brat.
True.
And yes, I love Gru's reaction to the kid, because after he has hated that kid, so on and so forth, and is happy they're separated, he still was bad to his girl, and so he froze him.
Yeah.
Loved that. I was like, yeah, that's how this works. But that's not my point. That's just me giving it a bonus little thing there.
Right.
My third is definitely has to be all of the visual design of the sets throughout this entire film. It's all like spot on. There's never a point where you're looking at this and going, you just have that, because that happens a lot of times in these films. Even the stuff that is obviously reused from the first film feels like it has an extra layer of polish on it.
Fair.
So yeah, I appreciated that on this film. So dislikes.
So my first dislike, and I kind of made it very obvious, this movie is not very original. Like, I mean, like, yeah, you have little points here and there. It's like, oh, that's clever. Oh, that's clever. The minions being turned into little other monsters, but you saw it coming. But like, you see everything in this movie coming. There is no surprise. There's no twist of villain. There's nothing. They are projecting everything in front of you and giving you no surprise whatsoever. Except for like the minions, what they turn into. That was interesting. Be like, okay, here's the formula. It's going to turn them into this, and this, and this. Here's your villain. Because like whenever you're writing a story, you don't put the first character that our character, like your main hero or your protagonist meets, is your villain. Most of them be like, you put, maybe it's the second person or the third person, not the first person, because then it makes it obvious. To me, it made it so obvious.
Okay, I want to rebut in two different ways.
Okay.
He
said but.
Yeah, you're just as mature as the minions are. My rebuttal, which doesn't help my case any.
No, it doesn't.
My rebuttal for this is that El Macho or Eduardo, whatever his regular name is, does not outside of the where he's actually sealing the formula. Does not show up in the film till like 30 minutes into the film. Gru meets like 7 other major characters in this film before Eduardo shows up.
Oh, I agree.
Secondly, you're a Scooby-Doo fan.
Yeah.
You know the formula for writing Scooby-Doo villains.
Yeah.
They're the first or second person that's brought up that they meet and is never brought up in the when they're trying to figure out who the person in the mask is, so that when it shows up at the end, it goes, oh, of course, it's the person who was introduced at the beginning and then conveniently forgotten about throughout the rest of the episode.
Yes. So I'm
just pointing that out. It's
I agree.
Rebuttal, he's not even in the first couple minutes, and secondly, your point kind of backfired on you.
Well, I wouldn't agree. I would disagree with you on that, because yes, he is the first person that Gru and Lucy meet in the mall, or at least in they're the first person, and really, Gru's the one who points it out and continually points it out the entire time.
But the reason he's able to do that is because he is right. He went with his gut. He knows that even if there is no evidence or the evidence is lacking, he remembers this guy.
Oh yeah, obviously
he's going to look at him and go, oh, you've got to be El Macho. There's no way you're not El Macho, because the only difference between El Macho and Eduardo in terms of visual design is a mask.
Yeah.
And it's a luchador mask, admittedly, but it's not a very, shall we say, disguising luchador mask.
I agree. It's not, because it gives away his entire profile of his
right. And so, yeah, I get it, but they only ever really showed one other person who may have been the villain, and you're supposed to think there's no way Floyd Eagleson, the other guy, is supposed to be a villain.
Exactly, because it's obviously a red herring. Obviously,
the point isn't that there's a mystery. They want you to know who it is.
Yeah.
The point is Gru knew, and no one's believing him.
Yeah,
that's my rebuttal.
I agree. I agree with your rebuttal.
I understand why you'd want it different.
Yes.
But that wasn't what they were trying to do.
Yes, I agree. I think it would have probably been a little better, give you a little more mystery. Be like, okay, Gru has his suspicions. Maybe Gru can't quite pin it. Be like, he knows something's up with this guy, but he can't pin it.
It would be cleverer to have it be El Macho, but El Macho's not the one who stole it.
Yeah, exactly.
Have somebody else be, and he's using his memories and it ends up being wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Make him wrong. Or might be like, there again, watching the movie the first time, I kept thinking, it's like, okay, Lucy's the villain. That would have been interesting, because they would have twisted and be like, oh, she's actually the villain, and he makes her turn over to the good side, like she's a double agent or something like that. I could see that. Yeah, because that would have been fun. I'd be like, oh my gosh, they twisted it. They made it different. Nope.
Because she could have had a very Black Widow-ish kind of character thing.
Exactly.
Especially the way that she introduces she introduces herself to him.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I thought that would have, because it was more like, it's like, oh, okay. Groot was obviously right. And it was like, oh, okay. It's just everything in this movie is paint by numbers. And it'd be like, it's very predictable. If you watch movies, or if you review movies, or if you watched a ton of movies, doesn't matter what genre you are, you see it coming from a mile away, and it's so predictable. And for me, I want something that's going to kind of grab me and say, hey, hold on to this. This is going to be good. Or maybe more like pull a Drew, and it's like, oh my gosh, like a couple of seconds before it happens, oh my gosh, this is happening. Nope, this movie kind of it projects everything it's trying to hide nothing. It's like, here it is, here's the story, and there's no mystery. I wish that this movie had a little more mystery. It would have been funner, but that's just me. What's your first dislike? First
dislike will forever and always be connected to these Despicable Me films, Pharrell Williams.
Oh, okay.
They use his music in here like it's good. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
It's not my kind of music.
Sure.
It's a little cotton candy-ish to me. But I will say this much. Because of this film, a song was written that gave rise to one of my favorite modern real Weird Al parodies. Because
Happy
was very popular when it came out. Not because of this film.
No.
Even though it was written for this film.
Yes.
It was very popular when it came out. So Weird Al made a parody of it. Tacky.
I've heard that one.
It's a fun one.
Oh, agreed. Agreed.
And Jack Black's in it in the music video.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But
yeah, kind of like a tangent on the song "Happy," because they're gonna be loud. There again, I did not realize the song was attached to Despicable Me, so I relate this song to Zumba, which I did Zumba years ago. I love Zumba, and it's like, yes, I dance. I'll dance every once in a while. I enjoy it. Come at me, bro. I like it.
Jacob,
what?
You can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind. And I don't know the rest of the safety dance song, but let's move on.
But yeah, that's whenever I hear "Happy," I'd be like, okay, let's go. But yeah,
this song. Here's the thing. It wasn't just that this song was in the movie, and we played this movie at Walmart over and over incessantly.
Yes,
for a couple weeks. This song played at Walmart on Walmart commercials on the back wall TVs too, around the time this movie was coming out
Drew
in theaters.
cannot escape it.
And I hate this song. It's nonsensical. I get it. Don't go try explaining the lyrics to me. I get it. If I'd have heard it one or two times, I would have just been okay. It's a popular song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel this way about the other Pharrell Williams song in here. That's this theme from the first one, the Despicable Me little thing. It's like, I'm having a bad day. That song.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that because that's just connected to the film. It's fine. But then you get to doon 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 doon. It might be crazy what you have to say.
yeah.
I don't know the rest of the words anyway. I am obviously not trying to actually produce his voice, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Right.
Very unicorn. But I mean, I just don't like that song, and every time I hear it, I just think back to that summer at Walmart where I had to hear that song over and over and over again once every 12 minutes. That's how long the video clip was on that back wall. And, we kept the volume on those TVs down because we don't want to hear that mess. Most customers don't want to hear that mess. But here's the thing. There are these horrible people that exist in this world called high schoolers.
Yeah.
Who think they're being clever by going to the back wall and turning the volume up as high as it goes.
Oh, yeah.
And then running away.
Of course.
They find those kind of jokes hilarious. And I want to smack them upside the head when they do it. You're not being funny and you're just being an annoyance. Go away.
All in Jesus
in Christian love.
And Christian love. So to me.
So yeah, that song by itself is a dislike and will always be a dislike, and does not help that it's Pharrell Williams, who I've never liked.
So here's a question. So there again, we're both 80s and 90s kids. So the two songs that come to mind that played on the radio constantly when they came out drove everybody freaking nuts. Can you guess what two songs I'm referring to that played on the radio consistently?
I'd like to point out that when I was listening to the radio, I was on country stations.
Well, never mind.
So I probably don't know exactly what you're referring to.
Bop.
Bop, zip, zop, zop, doo, wop,
Yeah,
scooty, up, bop, doo, wop, zip, zop, zop, doo. Yeah, yeah. Now, here's the thing. I have no idea if those are the words. But you fight me over if those are the words or not.
Oh my god!
But I remember Hanson.
Oh yeah, Hanson.
Everyone remembers Hanson.
Or My Heart Will Go On from Tyson.
That's the wrong song. I went to I Will Always Love You.
From the Bodyguard.
From the Bodyguard.
Yes.
The Dolly Parton song turned Whitney Houston song.
Yes. Celine Dion.
Yeah. A heart will go on. I don't know the song.
But yeah, one of those songs that played consistently. Got it. I remember the back when SNL was actually really good.
So the 70s.
Okay. More the
No, I understand that the early 90s were good too.
Yeah, early 90s.
There are waves of when it was good and when it was bad, and anyone who was of a young adult at the time a good wave hit is always going to say that time was better than the others.
Agreed. So I remember one skit when Hanson was just coming out. They were big, they were huge. Bop was all over the place, and they did a skit with oh crap, what's his name?
Christopher Walken?
No. Oh, Ferrell. Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. They do a skit with Will Ferrell and Hanson. And so Hanson's on the show. And
was Will Ferrell playing Sean Connery?
no, he wasn't playing Sean Connery.
No, wait,
No.
he was Alex Trebek in those, not Sean Connery.
but no-
Sorry, was he Alex Trebek?
No, it wasn't Alex Trebek. No, he was. They were stepping into an elevator, and the elevator got stuck. And I was playing Boombop for 24 hours, and they were stuck in the elevator for 24 hours. I'd be like, I'm gonna pull my hair out.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, I know women I grew up with who now will go to Hanson concerts, who now will go to Backstreet Boy concerts, because it's like those are the songs that define my generation.
Backstreet's back. All right.
Exactly.
This is the dumbest written song. All right.
Either
No, they're dumber.
yeah, there's dumber. But yeah, I thought I would throw that out there because that just reminded me. It's like, oh my gosh, Bop and My Heart Will Go On, because those songs played the radio like no one's business. And at that time, I was listening to pop music.
Yeah, that would have come on incessantly.
Exactly. So yeah, so we're at I was number
Second dislike.
second
Is
dislike.
what you're on.
Oh, okay, Dr. Nefarious.
Nefario.
Sorry. Where'd I get nefarious?
It's based on the same root word. It's a
Yeah.
pun on nefarious.
Yeah,
But he calls
Yeah.
himself Dr. Nefario.
yeah, Nefario, Dr. Nefario. So, be like, he obviously he leaves group for a better job.
Which I can't blame him for. He wants to be
No.
an evil scientist, and he's forced to make the worst tasting
Jam
jams
ever.
and jellies ever.
Exactly. And so, be like, he gets into working with what's the villain's name in this movie again?
El Macho.
El Macho. Works for El Macho, and he's be like he views all the minions, Gru, everybody, his family. But then he's perfectly fine with turning all the minions into monsters the entire time. No problem with it whatsoever.
I have a defense for this.
And then like the
it's not a good defense, but I do have one. Finish your point.
Yes, the even worse offense. He just so happens he did not invent this chemical that turns things into monsters, but just offhand, he just happened to have a cure to it that was yellow, not purple. And I'm just like, really? Couldn't you play that out a little bit more? Like told the audience what's going on, not be like, you're just stupid.
Okay.
Playing our audience like they're dumb. They're not. They're kids. They understand things.
A.
Okay.
They were being subtle. Maybe a little too subtle.
Yeah,
but they were being subtle because you can kind of, if you are paying attention to Dr. Nefario's character, granted, he didn't get a lot of screen time in this one.
No, he didn't.
But based on the first movie and this one, Dr. Nefario has Gru's best interests at heart, even if he is misunderstanding what's best for Gru.
Right.
No, Dr. Nefario is trying to get Gru back in the evil game.
I could tell that.
He is not after the Moon project was both successful and then returned and everything. He understands that Gru is too wrapped around those three girls' fingers to be able to focus on anything really. And he is probably very frustrated with this Jams and Jellies project.
Yeah.
He's now stuck on. And he gets what he sees as an opening. At this point, any opening for him in his mind is going to work. And it's, El Macho, one of the great supervillains, and according to this story, is offering me a job. And he's gonna try and help. And I'm assuming, because we don't know how much talk there was between Dr. Nefario and El Macho before any of this happened, but it makes it sound like he shared the plan with Gru about this PX-41 and said, the minions are the perfect it's perfect to use them on here because this will make them, like we'll be able to use them with this stuff to take over everything.
Yeah.
But Dr. Farno knows Gru will never go for it unless he actually until maybe he can see proof.
Mm.
So that's why Dr. Nefario is going and brought on mainly as a way to kidnap all the minions.
Mm.
Dr. Nefario is, granted, I am reading a lot into this, and that's part of the issue here.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see the very minute that he sees Lucy get captured.
Yeah.
Why he goes for this? Why he's just at this point he goes, maybe this was not the best idea. I'm sure he had some thought process of it, especially when Gru was not on board when he saw what had to be the perfect evil, what to Dr. Nefario would have been the perfect evil plan.
Right.
And then was probably thinking about it all up at the party, and then sees El Macho kidnap Lucy, and knowing Gru as he does, realizes, oh, they're partners. I bet you it might go deeper than that. And these people are still my family. Yeah, he was sacrificing the minions, but he was using them the same way he would use the minions in the first movie as test subjects.
Fair. And
he's probably better with the girls now.
Right.
Because he's not, against them. He actually brings them along with him to help at the end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, his story is a lot subtler in this film than the last one, for good or for ill. But I think that's part of what it is he actually had motivation. It was just very subtly shown. And I can get how that didn't work for you. It really doesn't work in the film itself.
No, it doesn't work. And the fact that
there should have been a scene somewhere that showed Dr. Nefario had shown the interview process or the discussion process, even if it's not until the very end of the film.
Yeah, you don't have to show the villain. It's when giving him the interview. There
should have been a flash when he sees Lucy get captured.
Yeah,
there should have been a flashback there.
Yeah,
to explain Dr. Nefario's entire thing, so it makes sense when he comes back back to Gru's house with the antidote, which he was probably working on the same time.
Probably.
That's the only way he would have had it done that fast. And I can see it because he likes the minions just as much as anyone else. Doesn't want to see them this crazy forever.
Yeah.
That's my thought process.
Yeah, I would agree with you to an extent, but I think it's just it was the lack of development in the story where they could have done so much more with this. Be like, obviously they could have done more of a flashback, and maybe Dr. Nefario had more of the a regret for what he did to the minions, because he does view them as a part of his family. But like, I always miss you guys, blah 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 blah, as he's very slowly leaving. The joke here, but it is just kind of, it's just the whole plot structure of it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's just be like, oh, okay. Oh, it's Dr. Nefario. Oh, he's helping, he's helping the villain. And it's like, yeah, that plot doesn't really work for me. It's like if they would have fleshed that out a little bit more. And it's like Illumination does very good storytelling in a lot of their movies. Like Despicable Me 1 was it's some really, really good storytelling. In this one, it's just like, oh, okay.
They're a bit lazier in this.
It's a lazier story. Yeah, that's a better description. It's a lazier story. So yeah, that's my second dislike. Dr. Nefario's lazy story.
My second dislike is El Macho.
Oh, okay.
He's a dull villain.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. We know the minute Eduardo shows up, he's the villain.
Yeah, exactly.
They did nothing to help dispel that or anything. No. You see him, he's acting like a villain. He's already a villain between Gru and Lucy, despite the fact Gru thinks, oh, that's just a professional relationship. Well, we all know they're going to fall in love. We knew that. We knew that with the lipstick taser.
Surprise, surprise to nobody.
And granted, some of these lazy things are fine if you do interesting things with the rest of it.
Exactly.
But they didn't do interesting things with the rest of it. And the worst offender is El Macho, because his plan is, well, it makes sense. he's not really doing anything to make it happen. He's not a very intelligent person. See, here's the thing. The guy in the first film, what's his name? The idiot's
Oh
one.
yeah, the guy in the jumper.
Yeah. As stupid as he was intelligent when it came to planning stuff. He would have seen through Gru the second
Yeah.
that he walked into that store.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he knows that's Gru, and he's kind of playing to Gru, but he's not acting like he knows it's Gru for whatever reason. He's not looking into who Lucy is or why they would know each other. He knows nothing about why they're there, despite the fact he should have a better idea. If he was a decent villain, he should know. Secondly, his acting is poor. Not the actors, the animated acting, that the animation gives. There is a point in there where he is fed up with Gru in the I don't know if it's outside the rocket or if it's when he's first showing off the minions, but he says something that says like, we could have owned the world, Gru. And it's kind of this mad kind of thing, but the acting is very,
Yeah.
it's like the voice is not matching the actions.
Yeah.
It should, and it's not. Why doesn't it? Granted, maybe it was a take and you had to make a quick decision in the editing bay for all I know.
Yeah.
But it's a very boring animation for a movie that's supposed to be kind of energetic
Yeah.
in its animation. That's what these Despicable Me movies are. Is it should be is energetic. There should be fast movements, unless there's points where you actually do have a over the top sad sequence. Which we do get in here too, or the over-the-top lovey-dovey sequence when they're taking the bad blind date home.
Yes.
Those you can kind of go with the less high-energy, jokey movements, but that never happens to El Macho. And when you look at El Macho, he's not macho. He's not. Maybe he's based on someone's idea of what 80s macho-ness was. Like, I can maybe kind of see it as Hulk Hogan-ish. Because maybe that's the idea, this 80s kind of, let me tell you, brother.
Yeah, that's more Macho Man.
Hey, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. Randy Savage.
Macho Man. Randy Savage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they're going for.
Yeah.
And it's not what they got.
Yeah.
Benjamin Bratt, bless his heart, he can't really pull off that voice, and his act and the action for the animation is not really that either. Yeah, you get this description of the way he faked his death by tying himself to a shark that was tied to a rocket with 250 sticks of TNT strapped to his chest, and all they found was a smoldering chest hair. Okay, I get the joke here. Do not get me wrong. And I get that, this is obviously a man past his prime. He's going through midlife crisis. He's got a gut. They play that joke up too. I get that.
They do.
He's not as macho as he used to be. Fair enough. At the same time, I can't believe this guy was anything more than... I'm trying to think of the character. I can't believe El Macho was any more of a villain than Condiment King.
Wow.
Honestly, I can't.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah.
He puts on a good show, but I can't see him actually doing anything. Sure, he's got the tech.
Yeah.
Most of that tech, I think, actually belonged to Dr. Nefario. But technically, the magnet ship would have been before that, though it has a lot of Dr. Nefario design elements to it. It's very reminiscent of Gru's slug car and the slug plane from the first one. And that slug is the wrong word, but I can't think of what you call that shape.
Fair.
It's got a lot of that kind of feel to it. But at the same time, it's like So I can't really blame that. The way to get down into his lair, that's definitely a Nefario thing. It had to have designed that because it's reminiscent of the over-the-topness of how Gru gets into his lair from the house.
Yeah.
All of these things. Granted, he's supposed to be showing off that is it Enrico Suave? Is that the character's name?
Yeah, Enrico
he's trying
Suave.
to give off that he was once one of these kind of guys. That's why he does the Paso Doble dance with the woman he steals off the mall food court thing.
Yes.
And says, kids eat free on Tuesdays. He's trying to give off that Ricardo Montalban swagger.
Yeah.
He's got none of it.
It's failing badly.
I know that's the joke.
Yes.
Do not get me wrong.
Yes.
But the thing is, it doesn't look like he ever had it.
Yeah.
I get that this is supposed to be him after the fact, past his prime. He's trying to recapture his youth and failing miserably. But the thing is, when someone has had it at one time and then loses it, you can still see it in their movements.
Yes.
They still expect things to go wise. And yeah, there is the joke with the fact that obviously the girl he kidnaps off the floor to do the dance with and then throws back at, her husband outside the restaurant. There is the feeling that's like, oh yeah, she's into it. But honestly, it's got all the fervor of aren't we cool young kiddos with all this funny stuff we're doing?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's very much it's very looking downward, and he's not even that good a villain.
Yeah, agreed.
He's an interesting character, but I can't see him as really the villain of the piece. He doesn't have as much villainess to him that the jumpsuit guy from the first one does, whose name I can't remember right now.
Yeah.
And honestly, looking forward to Minions and what I remember of Despicable Me 3, those villains, while still ridiculous, just have a lot more oomph to them, a lot more fun to them. So, yeah.
So my third dislike of this film, and oddly enough, I kept thinking about Kristen Wiig. What was another film I watched her in? That kind of reminds me of this. It's like, oh yeah, Ghostbusters Answer the Call, the quote unquote third Ghostbusters film.
Much too many people's chagrin.
Yeah, wasn't that good?
I'm not a fan of it myself.
No, wasn't a fan. But what it reminded me of is the pacing of this movie. Be like how Ghostbusters Answer the Call, either the jokes, they were way too quick, or they dragged out way too long. Be like they overstayed their welcome. And in this film, it kind of drags. Your storytelling's okay, but your jokes they're dragged out way too long. Or it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna put a little pause here, but the pause is too long. The scene where I described the Back to the Future moment, that scene is a way too long of a shot. It drags and drags. It feels like they stay on that for 5 minutes. That one joke for 5 minutes. Because there again, going back to Ghostbusters Answer the Call, which I was not a fan of, had the scene in which the two main characters are getting fired, and it feels like they stay on that one bit for 5 minutes. That feels like this movie in several moments throughout the entire movie that the jokes are dragging way too long and they need to cut them shorter. But it's just, I don't know, maybe they wanted to get more of a laugh out of things. I don't know, but it just the sense of humor in a lot of the scenes, they just the scene themselves drug out a little too long. And the biggest example, like we talked about before, was in the plane scene. That scene is dragged out way too long, and it gets dumber by the minute.
It should have stopped with the baby Groove form going, I made the boom boom.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where the scene should have ended.
Exactly,
Scene should have ended. That's when you should have gone to the whole, I need you to make a decision, and I choose Gru and jump out of the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
But they go on for 2 more minutes showing all these other people turned into Gru's face. And it's like, I get it. Move on.
Yeah, exactly. And there's other points throughout this entire film where to me the jokes are a little too long, and they're a little too long in the tooth, and they overstay their welcome in so many ways. So I think just like in Back to the Future? No, Back to the Future was amazing. Ghostbusters, Answer the Call, be like the jokes are a little too long. Unlike Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is a freaking amazing film. Fight me on it.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
Oh, it's good. I can't wait for Firehouse.
Here's the thing. Kristen Wiig, she plays a similar character in a lot of her stuff.
Yeah, she does.
Do you want to know how much range she actually has?
I've heard she has some really good range.
She's been in a movie we reviewed.
Which one?
How to Train Your Dragon.
Who does
She's Rough Nut.
She's Rough Nut?
She's Rough Nut.
That's right. She is Rough Nut. That's right.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You talk about
That's right. Now I can hear it.
180-degree character change.
Yeah.
And she's just as believable there, if not more so, than here.
Dull and boring kind of character voice, but it sounds really good. This character,
it works for it. It's like lipstick taser.
Yeah, it's just it's like thinking about it. Yeah, I guess, but like you have Rough Nut, which is, oh my gosh, amazing character.
Which this movie, I blame that character more on the writing than the acting.
Agreed.
In my opinion, because I get that she's ditzy, but she's a little more ditzier than she needs to be.
Yeah, it's a lot of overacting.
I can't believe her as an actual secret agent.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if she's a bad secret agent, I can't believe her as a secret agent, period.
Yeah, because to me, when they revealed her character, I was like, ooh, she's going to be the villain, or she's going to be a henchman to the villain, and Gru's going to turn her to being a good
These
character.
movies are not that deep.
I know, but I wish it would have been. That would have been such a great twist in the movie.
I don't think Illumination's ever done a movie quite that deep.
Yeah.
They do have a bad tendency to be shallow.
Yeah, shallow.
Granted, it works in some places.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Like Mario.
Yes.
But, yeah.
But, yeah.
And that's not really shallow per se, because there's a lot of deep cuts in there. But the story is like, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But for that movie. My third dislike... My third dislike is Margot. Her story, while funny, and I understand where she's coming from, and they do cut it off at the right time.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of her blossoming into a young woman in her teenage years and going out with boys and dating, that plot line that the way they wrote it is super generic and could have been any character. Could have been Edith for all it mattered. It's dropped way too fast and it does nothing for the movie except allow Gru to be annoyed at somebody for a couple of scenes.
Agreed.
I get why you want this character to have to fall in love with a young boy. I get why you chose that young boy to be the son of the villain, who, let's face it, is just as shallow as his father is. And yes, I do like it when he does break her heart by going out with another girl. Gru's reaction is freeze ray. I love that part.
Yeah,
but the thing is, I don't really get. And I know it's supposed to be a love at first sight. She's fallen in love with his looks more than his personality.
Puppy dog love.
Yeah, I get that. And this is going to be her first broken heart, and it's supposed to be innocent enough that it's not, heart is broken, but it's not a devastating hurt. I get that's what it's supposed to be, but for a story like this, I need more than just, I'm in love with him. You can't go out with him. He's a boy, and I want you to be my little girl forever.
Till you're 30.
Well, I mean, that's the running gag here.
Yeah,
is he's afraid to give up his little girl. And granted, I understand that Gru loves these girls like they have been his daughters since day one, even though at best they've known each other for a year at this point.
Yeah.
I get that. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But Margot went from being this smart, no-nonsense, tough cookie character who had to learn to love again in the first film to being, I'm in love with a boy. I don't care that he's wrong for me. He's sweet. He's sexy. He talks like he's a little Enrico Suave and Ricardo Montalban. I just love him. I'm just going to go stupid because Margot, you are smarter than this. I know love makes fools of us all.
Yeah.
Do not get me wrong there. But I'm sitting there going, Margot, your character went from being an intelligently written leader of your family, who should still be the leader of her family, even though Gru is the father.
Mm-hmm.
She still is the oldest of the three girls. She still is. You're the oldest brother. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And I understand you get to that age, you get stupid, you fall in love, that sort of thing. I get all that. And admittedly, she's a little young, even by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But at the same time, looking at like, you went from being a very smart character to being a really dumb character that let me back up. I know the answer to that. I know what description I'm going for here. She went from being as intelligent as Elsa in Frozen
Mm-hmm.
to being as much to being as cheap and falling in love as Anna at the beginning of Frozen. She went from Elsa to Anna in 2 movies, just wanting to fall in love with the first person she sees, despite the first one. She's smart enough to know that to put her walls up between someone she doesn't think who thinks is just trying to use them.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, when someone is trying to use her, she doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there's a bit of flip flop, but she goes from being Elsa to being Anna and not hitting that middle ground you need to be at.
Yeah.
And it's annoying because Margot was a good character.
I agree.
In the first film, and here she's like, good night, Agnes. Agnes is a smarter character than you are right now. And Agnes is supposed to be the fun one, the naive one.
Yeah.
She's more knowledgeable about what's going on than you are.
Well, to kind of, I don't want to say simplify that point. It is a little annoying that she does, kind of fall head over heels for this boy really quick. And that does happen. Happen.
I get that it does.
Mm-hmm. And it is kind of regrettable that our smartest character, the leader of the pack, kind of goes blah for a boy. But I mean, like I think it makes an interesting arc for the character, because you have this character who is very smart, then goes dumbfounded for a boy, and then gets her heart broken, but then quickly recovers from that, or takes some time to recover from that. So yeah, I don't think I don't think it's a good connection point to get the story to go where it needs to go. It's a little sad they kind of sacrifice Margot's character to get there, but thankfully we do get a kind of a redemption for her character, that she kind of it's like, oh, okay, this guy's not really good for me.
Yeah, it's just he goes stupid for a while, and that's what bugs me. But yeah,
fair.
That was my third dislike. So we need to rate this film.
Okay. What do you rate it?
7.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad. It's not good.
Okay.
It's not serviceable. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's
watchable.
It's watchable. It's competent. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a competent film. It's not pushing anything. It's not doing anything exceptionally well. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even go out on a limb to say it's the best Despicable Me film.
Yeah.
To some degree, I think I prefer this a little bit because it's not as tied to the over melodramatic story of the first, because it's trying to do something different than the first movie, but it doesn't do what it tries to do very well.
Oh, okay.
What little it's trying to do.
Okay.
So 7. It's competent.
I will go a little lower. I go with a 6. Because there again, I prefer Despicable Me 1 over this film, because there again, it's a far better story. It's more well crafted. This movie is paint by numbers. It plays it way too safe with everything. And just like some of the plots are like definitely with Dr. Nefario. It's just like really, and just all the points of the plot. It's just kind of like bland. They could have done something really cool with it instead of trying to play it safe like they normally do. Do something different, change things up. Because I think what they did with Despicable Me, they ripped the mold out and did something different. But with this one, they just played it way too safe. And I think they could have done better with the story. And there again, this is a kids film. And I think with a kids film, you need to, address your audience like they're intelligent, not just little kids that don't think.
Well, we both agree you should never talk down to children.
Yeah, don't talk down to children. Don't.
It doesn't give them a excuse to try and get better.
Exactly. So yeah, mine's a 6.
To grow, I mean.
Exactly.
So
it's a 6.
Yeah, which brings us to the end of our review portion of the show.
Yeah.
So join us on the other side of the bumpers, and we'll get to talking about what we've been watching, what's in the news, and a little X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out Stunning and Brave, where each week hosts Chris Cowan of the Babylon Bee and Nate Henderson of Some Boring Budgeting Job confess their privilege, spotlight stunning social media posts, and fabricate outrage, all while keeping you super woke and enlightened. They will make you laugh. That's right. You have no choice. Check out Stunning and Brave at stunningandbrave.net.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com, and
so not this person because I haven't taken them out
Your
yet.
name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast, plus reviews and special art from Jacob. Please donate to us on Patreon.
He's working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, technically, at this point, I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm. I already got it done.
Because your part's done, and I just haven't got it. I haven't gotten it posted yet.
Exactly.
So,
I'm ahead this time.
Jacob, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What have you been watching?
Well, I think it was last weekend. Yes, it was last weekend. Because my wonderful girlfriend was out of town and I had the weekend to myself. So I decided to, ever since we are going to do something with another podcast, I'm not going to say where or when or what podcast this is. But if you know, you know. So I finished all 8 episodes. Just bear with me here. 8 episodes of Skull Island on Netflix. This is an animated series. There's 8 episodes, people. 8 episodes is based on Skull Island of the movies that came out from
Legendary
films and
the MonsterVerse films.
King Kong whole bit. It's a King Kong show.
Okay, I know what you're saying, but I gotta correct you.
Okay,
technically, it's not King Kong because
it's Kong.
From a legal point of view, unless you are Universal Studios, you cannot claim it's actually King Kong for 10 more years because they had to base it off the book, and officially the character from the book has to be called Kong now because the book is actually in the public domain. That's actually a novelization of the first film. So anything that was in the novelization that was not in the movie can be messed with. If you don't believe me what I'm saying, go listen to the person whose show we're going to be on, Monster Island Film Vault.
Yeah.
Go listen to his episode on King Kong. I think it's actually the original King Kong where he talks about this. And let's just say the copyright surround the legal rights around King Kong are a wild and crazy story.
That's what I keep hearing.
Involving a certain plumber, a certain giant lizard, and the guy who would eventually fund the Transformers the movie.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. Interesting. So yeah. I watched Skull Island on Netflix.
It's a show.
It's a show. It's a thing.
Keep an eye out for that episode to find all our thoughts on that show. I still have 4 episodes of that to watch.
So yes, what is it?
I don't know when the MIFE episode is coming.
Is it Amy?
Annie.
Yeah.
You want to know how I remember? Little Orphan Annie.
That makes sense.
She's an orphan.
Yeah.
And she has very little likability.
That is true. It's like, yeah, you got a movie about a girl named Annie who's the most wonderful sweetheart on the planet. Not. We'll
get there when we get there
on Monster Island. We'll get there. Thanks, Nate.
Unless we're getting picked up. I don't know how all that's working. But
if we're getting picked up by Annie, we're going to have a problem here.
Not by Annie. I don't think.
I'll be like, dog wouldn't be mine. I would not mind riding dog back.
Jimmy will pick us up probably.
Oh,
in his
picked up my dog.
In his Uber Mogura.
That's true.
But anyway.
Yeah. I want to get picked up by dog. Come on, Nate, make it happen.
That dog would have you for lunch.
He wouldn't eat me. Maybe you. I'm a dog person, remember?
I'm a cat person, but that doesn't stop every cat from doesn't make every cat like me.
Well, cats are weird.
No, they're not. They're introverts. Dogs are extroverts.
Exactly.
Y'all are weird. Let's move on.
I know this.
What else have you been watching? Because I know you hadn't just watched that.
Exactly. So I watched this for Monster Island Film Ball. We're doing that at some point. And again, thanks, Nate. In so many ways. So, and then be like, I started watching another show on Netflix last week. And it's like, you know what? Be like, I've got a little time. Why not continue watching this? I'm continue to watch The Watcher. Or not The Watcher, The Witcher. The Witcher on Netflix with Henry Cavill.
Toss a coin to Witcher, oh valley of plenty. That's all I know of the show.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of funny.
Because I know I've watched... I was aware of the video games and how what's the word I'm looking for? HBO they get?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very HBO.
And I assumed the show was going to be just as bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It does. I'm like, okay. But I'm enjoying it so far. Be like, yeah, it's just there's one scene on the beach that is like, oh my gosh, this character's talking about this. Is like, okay, but it's, you know, very true in some capacities for characters in that world. But yes, if you've seen the scene, you know what I'm talking about. Okay,
I've not watched it, but I can guess.
Okay, I'll tell you after show. But
I assume it is much like the beginning of Grease, but more explicit.
Maybe.
You've never seen Grease, have you?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen Grease.
You know the beginning when he and
no, this is
her are on the beach?
Yes, I know what it's implying.
And it's very obvious what they're doing?
Yes.
I assume it's a lot like that, but more explicit?
No, it's the opposite.
They're doing it in armor?
No, shush. Jeez. No, I'll tell you after the show. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's a family-friendly show. Thank you very much.
True. Very true. Moving on.
Keep the sand out of your shorts, dude.
Moving on.
So yeah, that's what I've been watching. I've been watching the Witcher, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'd heard about this, and probably people would say don't watch it, Jacob, but I'm actually enjoying it. It's a really good story. I'm loving Henry Cavill's performance. Everything I've seen Henry Cavill do is good. I'm putting that emphasis there for somebody who might listen to this someday. Henry Cavill is a good actor, and he knows I say this, and he's a good Superman. Period.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought I would just say that there to maybe people who might listen to this someday.
He'll never hear this. I can't imagine him watching listening to a review of Despicable Me too.
Probably not, but you never.
Okay. What I've been watching.
Yes.
I'll start at the low end and lead to the big one.
The grandiose stuff.
Yes.
So what's the low hanging fruit?
The low hanging fruit I discovered on Disney Plus has added a sitcom from my childhood on that I have caught bits and pieces of over the years, but
Yeah.
can't tell you I ever watched the whole thing.
Huh.
Different episodes over the years, but
Right.
you know, the episodes that never made it into syndication, I don't remember because, you know, around one of those, that early time of life where you don't remember much.
Right.
And this was a little show involving, Benford Tools is proud to present Tim the Toolman Taylor. They added Home Improvement to Disney Plus.
Oh my God.
All 8 seasons.
Yes.
I loved that show when I was a kid.
Yes.
It's still very well written now. What I'm saying,
Yes.
it's still very early. I'm still in season 1, so it's very obvious. Here are all the character concepts that we've written. We don't really have character histories in place yet,
exactly.
but that's fine.
Yeah.
But I've watched like about 7 or 8 of those episodes.
Yeah.
And it's like, this show is so much fun. It's not the deepest show. It's definitely a family friendly sitcom.
It's 90s. Yeah.
It's 90s, but it's just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way I know how to put it. It's the perfect kind of thing I can put on and kind of play in the background while editing the podcast.
Okay. Fair enough.
And that's kind of what I've been doing.
Okay. Fair.
Moving up from there, of course, July 4th was this last weekend, and I went and visited my parents.
Yeah.
And we got in a lot of Perry Mason.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched any Perry Mason?
Very little.
That's a very fun kind. It's you can kind of figure the formula out after a little bit, but every once in a while they'll throw an episode in where it's like, I have no idea who the killer was until like the last couple minutes, where it's like, and even when you know who did it, you're just kind of having fun going along for the ride. There was an episode where, there was a murder that occurred. The murder occurred halfway through the episode.
Oh, okay.
And it was a bit of a mystery of who actually did the murdering. But the crux of the whole episode was this little girl wanting to know who her parents are. She had been...
Did she murder somebody?
No. Let me explain. For whatever reason, she doesn't know who her parents are. She doesn't even know if her name is actually her name. A long time ago, she was... she arrived at a boarding school. The boarding school gets a check for her that covers all her living expenses. And she gets a doll twice a year. Comes from the same place. No idea who the actual parents are.
Oh, okay.
So most of the episode is trying to figure out who her parents are. And when you finally figure out the parentage and everything, her grandpa dies.
Oh.
And it was not of old age. It's very obviously not old age was the cause. Poker over the head. A fireplace poker.
Poker through the head.
Fireplace poker over the head.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's bad.
And the person they are kind of wanting you to think is the killer isn't the killer. She's just not. Anyway, I won't get too much into it. That was one of the episodes, and it was good. They are very. A lot of them are very simplistic, and you're a little formulaic and you follow. But every once in a while, they have one of these. It's like, you actually put some writing into this.
Yeah.
And I say it's not like they don't put writing into all of them.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of them. It's like, okay, yeah, this one wasn't as good. But you get somebody that's like, I'm actually curious where this is going to go. Like really curious, not just something to eat, something to watch while eating lunch. Kind of curious. It's literally like, this is a good episode. I would suggest this one. It's like old episodes of Star Trek in a way. So yeah, we watched a lot of that. And then last Monday, we watched a film in a theater.
Oh, which one?
Number 5.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. my mini review of this film, it is better than 4, but not as good as the original trilogy.
Okay.
Which is probably the fairest thing. There was nothing in there that made me go, well, that's stupid. There was not a nuke the fridge moment.
Yeah.
Like 4 was full of.
Mm-hmm.
It was an okay story. And there was one point where it's like, okay, that's just a little more over the top than the other the 3 went. It always ends on something quote unquote supernatural happening. The supernatural moment in this, for lack of a better term, it's there. And to some degree, it's like you should have gone a little more subtle with this, but it was still not bad.
Yeah.
I suggest it.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. You might like it more than I did, but for me, like I said, it's better than 4, but not as good as 1 through 3.
Okay. So, having seen all 5 of the Indiana Jones movies with Harrison Ford, which of the movies do you prefer overall?
Is this an objective or a subjective discussion?
Either or.
Objectively, Raiders, I think, is the best film.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite, Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Okay.
I know that's an unpopular choice.
Yeah.
But I have always enjoyed the over-the-topness and funness of Temple of Doom. Just over-the-topness in the others. But the others are much more kind of archaeological James Bond films.
Fair.
Indiana Jones is just like, Temple of Doom is just like, what's the stupidest fun thing we could do right now in India?
Fair.
Yes, I do not like what's her name, the girl.
Yeah.
She's annoying after a while, but she gets her comeuppance for being annoying throughout it, which I like, like the monkey brains.
Oh gosh.
And let's face it,
we're all going to die.
Yeah, Short Round.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters in cinema history.
Yes.
You'll not talk bad about Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
Indy, what are you doing? This is no time for love. It's like, oh my gosh, I hate this, but I love it at the same time because it's just fun. What did he say? What did he say? Prepare for crash landing.
I love his performance. It's so good.
I love you, Short Round.
Yes. Yes.
You deserved better than you got, even though you did finally win an Oscar.
Yes. I would say, because be like they're gonna watch,
but the others are good too. And let's face it, Harrison Ford and Sean Connery in the same film.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
You can't be mad at that. Yeah. These 3 films are this in terms of quality. You can nittle and nitpick between the 3 of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They're all 3 kind of right there.
Yeah, I would agree in some cases. Yeah.
That's why Crystal Skull is so disappointing.
Agree.
Because it's down there.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, they are including Crystal Skull in the continuity.
Of course. You have to.
But they handled it better than I think they had than that movie had any right to be handled.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
Gotcha. I would say...
Let's just say that a character does not return, but you feel the fact that he's missing.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. My favorite of the Indiana Jones films would be actually Hang on Your Wall, Last Crusade. I love Crusade. There again, it is the culmination of 3 amazing films. You have the duo of Sean Connery and Harrison Ford as father and son, and the way they play off each other, the comedic timing in the movie, the father-son bonding in the film. I love it to death. The action, the adventure, obviously. It's back to fighting with Nazis from a historical standpoint.
Technically, despite the fact it takes place in the 60s, this is also fighting Nazis.
Oh, of course.
That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. But just like it'd be like, there again, all 3 of these films would be like, for me, it's like Last Crusade, Raiders, and then Doom. But they're all really, really good.
Oh yeah,
because again, Temple of Doom be like.
I get why people don't like Temple of Doom as well as the others.
Yeah.
But no one I've ever talked to would not include Temple of Doom in that lineup.
Yeah.
Even before Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
And Crystal Skull, they just like, okay, yeah, Temple of Doom's not that bad. Let's how some people would react. But even before then, you talk about Indiana Jones, they include all 3 movies. Temple of Doom may have been their weakest, but it was certainly not a bad film and that people didn't watch.
And to give Crystal Skull to give what the movie justly deserves, but Harrison Ford does an amazing job in this film for Crystal Skull. I think he does an amazing job.
He does a good job. The problem is the story is not well written and it's dull.
Yeah, I agree in most capacities.
It's the same problem a lot of Spielberg films around that time had.
Agreed.
And George Lucas films around that time had.
Agreed.
But unlike the other franchise films that were around this time that got a lot better received later on, Crystal Skull's not getting that treatment.
Agreed. Be like, there are parts in Crystal Skull I enjoy, but there are others it's like, okay, this is a little too much. It's like, really? Aliens? Really? But okay. Either way.
That kind of worked, but it was not well done.
It wasn't very well done, but the fact that like
this works, trust me.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So moving forward.
Yeah. What do we got in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Delit. And thankfully, my hair is not purple right now.
Do you want it purple?
No, please and thank you.
All right, then.
Okay, then. I'll try not to push the AI's button.
I didn't quite get that, Delit. What was it? The button was pushed earlier?
Oh, crap.
That's why you got hit with the dart earlier. The dart? Oh, wait, I do see it now. Hang on.
Where?
Hold still.
Where is it? Where is it? No!
You got an answer for this, Deedlet?
Hi, Chihuahua.
No, you don't have an answer for it.
Ow.
We'll talk about this later.
Thanks. Ow. Do you have any
antiseptic spray?
Yes.
An analgesic cream?
Yes.
No.
Well, darn. If it gets affected, I can't sue an AI, but okay then.
Let's say she's not technically a person legally.
That is true.
Yeah, not in this timeline.
No, not in this timeline.
That worries me, but let's continue.
Yeah. Anyways. All right, going into the news. So San Diego Comic-Con is around the corner, starting January 19th to the 23rd.
You mean July?
July, that's what I meant to say. I always do this every year. So
I wish it was January.
Yeah,
it'd be cooler.
Yes, it would. If you live in Texas, you know exactly what we're talking about. Thanks, Canada.
Out of context, that makes no sense.
I agree. Apparently, there's massive wildfires in Canada, which has caused all the massive heat wave we're having down here.
Right.
Apparently. But
among other things.
There again, I am not dogging our we have listeners from Canada. I'm not dogging you. It's just the fires are causing more problems down here. But nuance. So Comic-Con, not New York Comic-Con, but San Diego Comic-Con.
International San Diego Comic-Con.
There we go. Okay. So Cartoon Network and Adult Swim will be announcing their lineups for their upcoming animated series, which will include a Rick and Morty, a new series coming out. Apparently, Rick and Morty is still in the air. I thought it,
after one of the guy who voices Rick got canceled pretty heavy last year.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're able to keep it going.
Right.
Considering he was one of the creators of the show.
Right. So there's a new show coming out, My Adventures with Superman, which is, I think you can watch on Hulu, I think.
Was this the one that I saw a video earlier today where they were showing Superman getting into costume, and it was very Sailor Moon-esque.
I think I heard something about this. I think it's on Hulu right now. I think. Don't quote me on it. Or it's on Max or one of those. I think it would be on Max because it's Superman. Who's doing the clicky thing?
The clicky thing.
The clicky thing.
It's called typing, my friend. I'm looking for something.
He's looking for something. Sailor.
Keep talking. Keep
yes.
talking.
Oh yeah, talk. Yep. So yes.
Quit being distracted by me.
Sorry, I get distracted by everything. Squirrel. So yes, they are having panels over my adventures with Superman. Another, and get to the ones that most people want to listen to. Cartoon Network's upcoming new show, Tiny Toons Looniversity, which is if you're a 90s kid like us and you watch Tiny Toons, the adventures of Tiny Toons, it's like, yes, let's have more because, everybody needs Tiny Toons in their lives because it's good. So going forward, Warner Brothers Discovery Home Entertainment returns to San Diego Comic-Con 2023 with 4 panels showcasing highly anticipated animated films. They're doing another the Adventure Brothers movie, Babylon Heart, which apparently that is interesting.
It's a Sailor Moon transformation sequence.
That is absolutely hysterical. Yeah, go put that on the Facebook page. That's actually kind of funny.
I will later.
All right, good deal. So yes, they are talking about the Venture Brothers. Apparently, a show on cartoon on whatever. I never watched it.
Venture Brothers was pretty popular.
Okay. What is the title of this? Babylon Heart. Oh, never mind. That's the full title of that. Let's see. Justice League War World, which is the DC movie that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And Babylon 5, The Road Home. And for Babylon 5, the series that came out years ago, it's an animated series. They're doing either it's an animated movie or an animated series. I'm not sure on that. But when July 19th rolls around and they start dropping information about new series and new movies that are coming out and more information, I will do my best to post it to the Facebook group and all that for we can get information out there for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to San Diego this year's San Diego Comic-Con, to what are they going to reveal for movie wise, animated TV series wise, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all I have for the news. Unless you have anything else, Drew.
I do not. So let's go ahead and jump into X-Men.
Previously on X-Men.
Meet the sulky, over bulky, kinda hulky superhero. Optimistic and electrically transistored superhero. And exotically neurotic and
Say what?
superhero. The Marvel superheroes have arrived. X-Men, X-Men, it's the day, X-Men, X-Men, coming your way.
Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
just to get this out of the way, because once again, we are missing a certain character in these episodes.
I am Magneto, master of magnet.
The fact he's not been in any season 3 is disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It just is, because he's freaking Magneto.
Yeah, agreed.
He's the villain of X-Men.
He is.
But anyway, X-Men, first episode we're reviewing tonight, Orphan's End, which originally aired on February 25th, 1995. Directed by Larry Houston and written by Doug Booth. In this episode, Corsair is on the run from Shi'ar authorities who demand that Cyclops turn him over to them. Guest cast for this episode includes Jeffrey Aries as Corsair, and not Jonathan Frakes, who it should be. Leon Pownall as Ragnar, and Ron Rubin as Chode.
Chode.
It's the character's name.
I know, it's Chode. I know that.
In this episode, Storm debuts a new hairstyle.
Yes.
A ponytail.
Yes. Which looks really good.
But was missing in the next episode.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What the world?
And we get cameo by Deathbird.
Mm-hmm.
Sister of Deken and Lalandra is seen when Christopher and Catherine Ann Summers are abducted by the Shi'ar.
Oh, okay.
So that's all I got for this one. What's your thoughts on this episode?
This episode, I really enjoyed it because there again, they had been playing this up like a harp or a canary the last entire season.
Or a Deathbird?
Or a Deathbird.
Perhaps a Phoenix?
A Phoenix. A Mockingjay. Whatever you want to call it.
I was confused when this episode started.
Really? Okay.
And the reason is, it's been a couple episodes since Corsair's been on.
Yeah.
And apparently I forgot about what actually happened in in the episode Starjammers.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching this and watching the last time on X-Men segment, going, I don't remember any of this. And I should.
Yes, you should.
I'm sitting there going, is this the right episode? Did I get the order wrong?
Right.
Because we even go with, I can't tell Scott who Corsair really is. I can't tell him he's his father.
Sure.
And I'm going, I don't remember you figuring that out, Jean Grey.
That's weird because I do.
I'm telling you, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like a month.
Yeah, it's been a month.
It's been a month.
Yeah.
And I thought I was paying attention, but
apparently
I missed a lot, or have forgotten a lot, because it's like, I know some of this happened and I recognize it, but in my mind, a lot of this didn't stick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because Phoenix was an awkward 5-episode mini arc.
Yes.
If we're being honest. But
Crazy Charles, anybody?
Yeah, Crazy Charles.
Or, the Dark Charles with a cape. He's a villain. He's got a cape.
Of course. It's the Mr. Hyde complex.
Yes, it is.
But the other thing is, I was watching this episode, and at the when they're trying to talk in code over the airwaves to tell Corsair and Logan Scott that obviously the information they're telling them is incorrect because they know people are listening, and this will tell you what happened, what you should be doing. It makes sense. We would not know Corsairs. I have no idea what them telling Scott that Xavier sends his regards is supposed to tell Scott, because we've watched every episode since episode 1.
Yes.
I have no idea what they're referring to. Do you?
No, not really.
It's telling them something that's obviously like, yeah, you do this other thing, but it's like, I don't know what it is. And the other thing is, what really puts this after Dark Phoenix?
Not really.
Jean Grey is not in this episode.
Yeah.
She's except in the flashback sequence at the beginning, the last time on segment.
Yeah.
And she's running around in her first Phoenix outfit, not the Dark Phoenix outfit.
Yeah.
And she's should be back to normal, and she's not in either of these 2 episodes.
No, she's not.
So it's like this could have taken place in between Phoenix and Dark Phoenix for the little amount of difference it makes.
Yeah.
Except that we know that Lalandra is the empress of the Shi'ar Empire.
Yeah.
Oh, there is one thing that has to put it back there. I forgot, because not Jonathan Frakes does comment on the X-Men fighting the Imperial Guard in the last episode.
Yeah.
There is that, at least.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is like could have happened at any time.
Agreed.
And it was an okay story. I kudos for them finally actually explaining the Scott Summers Corsair connection. And I really liked how they went back and forth, because Scott is always a Boy Scout. He's always going to be a Boy Scout, and he's always a little what's the word I'm looking for? Easily susceptible to lies.
True.
It's part one of his failings as a character. It's flaws. That's what I'm looking for. It's one of his flaws as a character. So I appreciate they're still going through with that.
Yeah.
But this was kind of just aliens are attacking. They're searching for these other characters, and Scott's going to find out that not Jonathan Frakes is his father.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's not even aliens. It's just like
it's Shi'ar. They're aliens.
Shi'ar. It's the Shi'ar. The next episode has to deal with aliens, which is a whole stupid ball game.
We'll get to that, considering that's not who was supposed to be the queen. But we'll get to that one here in a minute. Do you have anything on this episode? I kind of talked a lot.
I enjoyed it. Because there again, they do wrap up that whole thing they've been talking ever since the Phoenix saga. They finally come to that conclusion. And I love where, like, obviously Storm, Aurora, has the different, her hair's in a ponytail. It makes her look different. It brings the different dynamics of the character then. And then the next episode goes back to the same thing. It's like, what? Did someone not like her ponytail? But
I will say I loved in the opening scene when Scott and her are going to check the message that's coming in. They go, well, we know it's not an X-Men. It's too early in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's Gambit who stayed out too late.
Trying to charm the women like, Gambit would.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed this episode. There again, Corsair comes back. The Starjammers come back. And, it wraps kind of everything up in a nice little bow, because you find that the counselor was in cahoots with people. He was the one behind everything. And, it's a real assassination. And it's like, okay, this is an interesting little story. And there again,
but like a lot of these, half an hour is not enough time to cover these stories.
No, it's not.
That's actually the biggest flaw of the series.
Agreed.
Is they are having to wrap up nearly every episode in half an hour.
Yeah.
And none of these stories are really able to be wrapped up well in half an hour.
Agreed.
Or 20 minutes.
Yeah. So it's a good episode. I wish there again they would have taken a little more time and actually flesh the stories out. But you do get a satisfying conclusion to the episode, unlike in the next episode.
Yeah, we got to talk about the next episode.
Oh my gosh. So stupid.
Love in Vain. Originally aired February 10th, 1996.
So it's
a year later. This is another one of those where the air dates are out of order from when they're supposed to actually be seen.
It's all wackadoo.
Yeah. Directed by Larry Houston and Fred Miller. Written by Martha Moran. In this episode, in the New Mexico desert, Wolverine witnesses the crash of a spaceship carrying horrific alien bug-like creatures. The Colony.
The Colony.
We'll get to my complaints here in a second. Guest cast. Every new character in this episode, the actor or actress is unknown.
Really?
I looked. Every single one unknown. Nothing on Cody. Nothing on anybody else. Not even the queen of the obvious brood.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So let's
hang on.
Let me go. Go ahead.
Trivia. This is the first appearance of the Colony, the animated series version of the Brood. In the comics, the Brood are a parasitic insectoid species with organic tentacles that lay eggs inside their victims to transform them into the Brood.
Ugh.
For the series, they were changed to reptilians with metallic tentacles who infect their victims with some type of spore. This change was made to make them more distinctive and animator friendly. The comic version of the Brood were previously seen as generic alien soldiers in Mojo Vision 1994, and Professor Xavier used the illusion of a Brood queen to frighten the soldiers attacking Iceman, Bobby Drake, in Cold Comfort.
That's right.
Although this episode aired during season 4, it is intended to air during season 3, right after Orphan's End. This is the first full appearance of Cody Robbins. In most adaptations of the X-Men, Cody is the boy Rogue kissed when she first developed her powers, sending him into a decades-long coma. Cody was seen previously during flashbacks involving Rogue's backstory in The Cure and A Rogue's Tale.
Good episode.
Last but not least, the Colony arrive on Earth in an Akanti, a spacefaring creature resembling a giant whale. No, it is not a whale.
Yeah, it's definitely not a whale.
This is the Jonah's Big Fish.
Yes, agree.
I'm sorry, that's what it is. Now, what were you about to say about the Colony?
Okay, so the Colony. Oh my
the
god,
obvious Aliens ripoff based off another obvious Aliens ripoff.
Yes. Oh my word. This is like really. So we get this random like, oh, we get an alien shows up. And like, oh, they have to plant their spores to populate because they can't reproduce themselves, so they have to take other hosts.
Okay, seen it. Move on.
Seen it. Moved on. It sounds like a Star Trek episode with the Borg
and many other alien races in Star Trek.
Exactly. But it's just like, okay, this is generic and boring. And then you get into Cody.
Oh, poor Cody.
Poor Cody.
I hate Cody.
Yeah, it's like he shows up out of nowhere and it's okay, what's going on? And it's like, wait a minute, because he even said it like Cody's been in a coma for a decade.
And now he's awake.
And
now owns a plane.
Uh-huh.
How?
And how is he functioning? That's my question.
And why is the person playing him sound like they have never seen a script before?
Right, exactly. Oh my gosh. His line reading sounds terrible.
Yeah.
It's, oh my gosh, it's cringy. And then you get because there again, I had a friend who was in a coma for 6 months, 6 to 9 months, and she was never the same afterwards. Not be like it was a 9 day be like same person, but just like it was different, like a different person in some ways. Couldn't function properly, was having issues the entire time. And she did pass away. It was sad, but she did pass away. But it's like Cody comes back perfectly normal, no problems whatsoever. I've been in a coma for a decade. Yeah, no problems. I'll just shrug it off. It's like, no, that's not the way this works. This is the way any of this works. But that was me in real life experiences. I was just like, that doesn't really work. Be like, if he was in a coma for a couple of weeks, like maybe, but an entire decade? No. It's like the movie from I think it's Time to Kill. I think with either or. Be like, it's a character who falls into a coma for 20 years and like he comes back and he finds the will to get back together, get himself together, and falls in love and blah 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 blah. Revenges his wife, revenges his son, and be like, surprise, my son's alive. Surprise, I can still kick butt after 20 years being in a coma. It's like, no, you're gonna be in a bed for about a year and a half. But anyways, it's just like the whole Cody situation in this entire episode is so stupid. It's like, oh yeah, Rogue is like wants someone to be with her and able to touch and kiss and the whole bit. It's like, it's understandable. Be like, she has the power which will absorb people's energy and can kill them. But which is another thing. Be like, she's so afraid to touch people. But in the first episode, she gives Scott this big smacker on the lips, absorbs his power, and like the exact same time like she kissed Cody, and Scott's fine, which was kind of weird. I was like, wait a minute. So if it's a mutant, it just absorbs our powers. But if it's a normal Joe like you and me, oh no, you're gonna get put in a coma for half a decade.
Okay. Here's the thing. The X gene stuff, I think it does pull from that more.
Mm-hmm.
Humans, both normal and abnormally powered, like not Rogue, Ms. Marvel in this.
Yeah.
He doesn't pull from the X gene as much as it pulls from the rest of it, because the X gene has, I think, more power than the rest of it. This is theory, I don't know.
Yeah.
But mutants in general do seem more powerful than even the regular humans are.
I agree.
For what they're able to do, despite the fact they have an extra ability here or there, that they all seem stronger.
Yeah.
Able to actually do some fighting right as soon as the X gene becomes active.
It's I became a superhero. I know how to use my powers now.
Not all of them do.
I know.
But yeah, this is a bad episode.
It is a bad episode.
It's a bad episode. I'm watching this and I fell asleep watching this episode.
Really?
I was halfway through it and it's like, it's like I had to go back and watch it, and I was only half watching it because I was like, I have seen so many better alien invasion movies.
Yeah.
With this premise of you get turned into the alien.
Uh-huh. And Wolverine's healing factor can just change it.
Yeah, but at the same time, he turned into the alien too.
Yeah, and then he can will himself to change back.
And I'm like,
and then has Robe absorb his powers in order for she can change back. And everybody else is touched by them and probably got spored. But it is so stupid. Yes.
Let's never talk about this episode again. How about that? So send it here.
Okay.
We both hate this episode.
It's not good.
There's nothing more to talk about other than
it's the end of season 3 on Disney Plus, which is like really like
a bad episode to go out on.
Episode to end on Disney Plus. Come on, give us that.
Season 3 and season 4 at this point are so mixed together, it's really hard to separate them.
True.
And season 3 is super long if you include actually all the episodes that aired during season 3.
Yeah.
So
anyways, we're going into season 4.
4 technically, except we're still dealing with season 3 episodes. But we'll get into that next week with The Juggernaut Returns.
Oh, okay.
And A Deal with the Devil.
Ah.
I'm looking forward to The Juggernaut Returns because I think a certain cameo appears in it.
Ah.
A non-Marvel related cameo.
Really?
But you know what we forgot to do?
Yes, I was just
forgot to say what movie we're reviewing next week.
What our movie we're reviewing?
The Boss Baby.
And I picked it.
Join us next week for that. I'm sure it's going to be as a rip-roaring good time as this week was. You got anything to add before we get out of here?
Oh my gosh. Just thankful we're going into season 4 of X-Men.
Yes. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
Banana!
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page Drew's Photo Bin to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Underwear, la carelli rei gilebia, macale. Underwear, la parque legali dele ca, la pale. Underwear. You know how hard that is to do with a straight face?
I know. Oh my gosh. That was